Hi, Vince Lou Who. How are you? Hey, Princess. How are you feeling? See Frankie? See Frankie? See my Frankie? He's so soft. See, he's a three-toed sloth. He only has three toes. See? Three toes. See? See? I love my Frankie. He keeps my neck warm. Lord LaSasha. All right. She's got a guide back here on pronunciation guide. And she's gone through and she's got some names in here. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Katia, Tala, Alistair, Theo, Amu, Kersnick, Shishu, Sphinx. Oh, Sphinx. Lath. Okay. Don't know which one of these I'm going to be. Lord, y'all. She's got 300 and 292 pages in this, but she's got 55 chapters. Five, six, and seven. That's gonna be enough. She's on Central Time. She may have forgotten. Her chapters are really short. Start chapter 3. The Big Easy. Alrighty, y'all about ready? I'm back over here because somebody forgot to plug in her Chromebook this weekend. So my computer was about dead. Sorry. Okay, let's give Frankie a good show here. Alrighty, y'all about ready to get started? Somebody holler at Jackie. She'll like this one. Maybe Miss Shirley. Alrighty. Alright, let's get started. Claimed Dark Breeds of the Lycans by LaSasha Flame. Dark Immortal Flames Series Book 1. And that face. Okay, she wanted me to read 5, 6, and 7, but her chapters are really short, so I'm actually going to start at chapter 3. And go from there. Make sure I get enough time in. It's like I said, she's got like 1,000 chapters in here, so. All right. Reich, Aloysius, and Toretto stepped out. All right, chapter 3 is called The Big Easy. Reich, Aloysius, and Toretto stepped out of the limo onto the bustling streets of the French Quarter. Been there, done that. The aroma of spicy seafood, sweet pastries, and fried chicken filled the humid air. As usual, the locals were celebrating something no matter how small in an extravagant manner, adding jazz tunes to the atmosphere. Love New Orleans. Being in the city again brought back 100. Oh, sorry, y'all. I'll be all right here in a minute. Brought back 190-year-old memories of a frightened young wolf cast out by his alpha. Alphas have a responsibility to protect their pack with their very lives, and yet one had left a young Toretto barely frozen into his immortality, fending for himself. Hey, Jackie's in the house. It's time to get this party rolling. Oh, Jackie, meet Frankie. Frankie, meet Jackie. He's my new sidekick. I'm replacing Nina. Just so you know. No, my significant other won't let me have a fur baby. So, or at least a live fur baby. So I brought me this one. Being in the city again brought back 190-year-old memories of a frightened young wolf cast out by his alphas. Alphas have a responsibility to protect their pack with their very lives. Yet one had left a young Toretto barely frozen into his immortality, fending for himself. Davis, the alpha of Toretto's birth pack, wanted Toretto's mother after his father died. Punishment for her refusal was sending her only child into the world defenseless. Reich and Al caught him stealing to survive, and it almost broke Reich to see the makeshift tent in a pile of garbage that he called home. They took him in under their paws, becoming like fathers to him at times, but most of all, brothers. The dynamic duo became a trio of terror. Toretto carried a briefcase and indicated a narrow corridor with a red door hidden away like a secret of the Big Easy just below a digital art gallery. Wright gave Toretto a pointed look. I don't even want to know how you are connected to witches. I mean, really, Toretto. Fucking witches, man. Toretto shrugged. I'm a little horn dog, and just for today, how about we don't call them witches? It's offensive to them, and we won't Her help, my lord. Rock scoffed. Lycans and witches working together has to be an abomination somewhere in somebody's holy book, and you fucked one? Toretto was a sly, pretty boy and said in self proclaimed Zeus's gift to womankind. He grinned. My dick don't discriminate. All the ladies love Big Redo, my lord. Rock shook his head. You're lucky little Redo didn't disappear. Piss her off one good time and she might abracadabra your dick away. Aloysius chuckled, agreeing with Rock. Toretto grinned. Impossible. When I'm done with them, they are all fast asleep like sedated kittens. He put his hands together, mocking sleeping and briefcase squeaking. The three males walked into a dimly lit shop of trinkets, incense, and bottles filled with God's knew what. What the fuck did I let him talk me into? Rock inspected a few strange items before making his way to the unattended counter. Aloysius rang the little bell, and a beautiful curly-haired, pale-skinned woman emerged from the back room. Her face turned up in disgust, and with a French accent, she said, "You are lost, werewolves. Go back to whatever swamp you crawled out of." How you like that for a French accent, bitches? Hi, LaSasha. What's going on, my sister? Al held a growling Rock back as he grated out in his thicker Scottish accent. First off, lass, we're not faking werewolves. There's a difference between Lycans and werewolves. And second, this here's Reich West. You're kicking out your kin. The white lighter's eyes went wide. Yes, bitch, fear me. She held Rock's gaze for a moment, but then something came over her. She jutted her chin out. I do not associate with your kind. There is nothing else here. There is nothing here for you. Please leave. Lycans had an innate unease with any beings who had powers like that of the gods. The father of all Lycans was cursed to be a crazed beast by the power of a Greek god. As a result, it caused a long, deep-seated animosity between the two species. Still held back by Aloysius, Reich said through gritted teeth, "Listen, witch, we wouldn't be here if we did not need your services." She slammed her fist on the counter, a ripple of power pulsing through the shop. I am not a witch. You ask for my help and insult me in the same breath. No, thank you. Wright growled, and Aloysius held him back tighter. Toretto stepped in and smiled at the white lighter, and she looked at him as if he was a creature from the Black Lagoon. Hey, I'm Toretto, and your name is... She narrowed her eyes at him suspiciously before answering. Marie Antoinette. Toretto turned up the charm. Beautiful name, little French queen. I am terribly sorry, but my alpha's behavior, Marie. He doesn't get out much, and he's on edge after a recent betrayal. Toretto leaned in and whispered, marital issues. Marie softened. Everyone knew how wolves could be about their mates. We just want to know if you would be able to help us discern which female Lycans are full-blooded like my alpha here, or half-breeds like me, for instance. Toretto picked up the briefcase and set it on the counter. He popped it open and turned it toward Marie, revealing $100,000 in cash, small bills. Marie gasped, and Toretto requested, Would that be beautiful? Would that be something you'd be able to help us with, Marie the Beautiful? My Rock, yeah, Rock couldn't take his eyes off her while she pondered the offer. He wouldn't admit it out loud, but he held his breath, desperate to gain her aid. The witch's display of power gave him hope that she could help him. Her refusal gave way to his faith in her. If she helped him, it would be because she wanted to, not because she tried to use him for her own personal gain. In fact, knowing their long history with each other's species meant she had much more to lose by associating with him. Marie's eyes met Rock's. She studied his expression so close to saying yes, but she held back for some reason. If this failed, he would be forced to marry a half breed Lycan to get his heir. He shuddered to think about settling for something so inferior, becoming his successor. I need to convince her. Rock spoke, voice still tight, as if he took everything in him to be kind. If you do this for me, and it works, I will triple this payment as a thank you. She nodded. Marie snatched the briefcase and tucked it behind the counter before going to the back room. Rock suspiciously started to follow her. Toretto stopped him. Patience, my lord. Marie emerged from the back room with a clear bottle filled with a substance that resembled water. She beckoned. Come closer, full blood, and stick your finger out. Reich did as she commanded. She opened the bottle and set it on the counter. With a needle, she poked Reich's finger, careful not to touch him, but allowing a red bead to form. She instructed, place a drop of your blood in the jar. Reich let a single drop fall into the bottle before his wound healed. She capped the bottle. Her eyes glazed over as she whispered some words while holding the bottle in the palm of her hand. Before his eyes, the clear bottle turned midnight black. Marie blinked a few times until her eyes were back to normal. She placed the bottle in Reich's hand, again careful not to touch him. Pour this into a bottle of wine or any dark drink. When you are ready for her to drink it, say these words. One sip between the lips, I summon thee to reveal your pure breed. Have her drink it, and she will glow a bright light only you, Reich, can see. The brighter the light, the more pure she will be. Half-breeds glow as well, but very dim. Reich inspected the bottle, a little suspicious. That's it? Some hocus-pocus black water? Reich narrowed his eyes. If this doesn't work, you will pay me with your life, Ms. Marie. She jutted out her chin. It will work, Lord West. Your pure breed Lycan blood is the basis for the spell. The closer they are to your level of purity, the brighter the glow. The lesser and the more dim the glow. Toretto smiled and thanked Marie on Rock's behalf. Rock's sinister grin surfaced as he turned to walk out the door. Good, because we will do business again. For the first time since they arrived, he detected her fear. LaSasha, I had to start earlier, like chapter 3, because your chapters are so short, sweetie. Great. All right. Chapter 4, New Guest. Rock strode into a dining room to see how the preparations for their guest of honor were coming along. Everything needed to be perfect for him to make a great impression on the full-blooded female. As soon as Claire was gone, he would be free to remarry and claim his father's empire. Except Claire was giving instructions to the staff to change the dinnerware set out on the long cherry wood table to something less formal. What are you doing? This is not the dining ware I ordered to be set out, Reich growled. The servants froze in their tracks and looked from Reich to Claire, unsure of which alpha to obey. It grated on his nerves that he had to tolerate the adulterous whore even for one more night. Claire, unbothered by his outburst, shrugged him off with a playful giggle. Oh, honey, stop. It's just Amelia. This is too fancy for her. Trust me, I know her, and she has practically raised by humans. Weird, right? Reich's face twisted like he had inhaled something repulsive, unable to imagine what it would be like to really live among humans. Their customs were so strange, and they suffered from ignorance. Half mad, angry little creatures. That's why sometimes I think I'm half shifter of some form. Probably bear or sloth. That's that would be the order I'd want to go in. Bear, sloth, maybe then wolf. But bears hibernate all winter, which is where I'm ready to be right now. And then, of course, sloth is my spirit animal. So, hey. He admitted, her upbringing is peculiar, but I promised Toretto he could be her date, and he wants to make a good impression. Reich gestured for the servants to change the setting back to what he had originally instructed. Claire said, That's sweet, but my lord, we would still be wasting it on. Do not undermine me again, or you will not like the outcome of what happens to people who disrespect me. Claire bowed in submission, heeding her alpha's warning. The doorbell rang, signaling the guest's arrival. Get the door, and I'll get Toretto, he said to Claire. Before he could leave, Toretto entered with a curvy, dark, caramel-skinned beauty. She had plump red lips, seductive lilac eyes, smooth, luminous skin, and layered ebony waves that reached the small of her back. This female had a very feminine boho chic vibe to her style of dress, sporting a white off-the-shoulder crop top that revealed a toned stomach with a flowy floral skirt that grazed the floor. She didn't have a regal beauty like Claire, but by the Greek gods, Amelia's beauty far surpassed Claire's by light years. For the first time since receiving the potion, fear crept in with a niggling of doubt that it might not work. This was his last hope, and everything depended on Amelia being the key to his power. If Amelia were a full-blood Lycan, he would stop at nothing to claim her fierce and hard. He would pump every bit of his seed deep inside her. She would be his queen, his child's mother. She would be his everything. Amelia's eyes met his. If he wasn't mistaken, they glowed a bit before turning back to her normal lilac color. Except lilac was a color he had never seen before. Dark breeds were known for their violet eye color, as other lichens sported various shades of blue. Is it possible she is some type of dark breed like me? Could there be more than one type of dark breed? She smiled with a brief wave. Reich's inner wolf whispered, Mine. And his cock grew to a thickness he had never known. No female had ever made his beast stake a claim. A bone-crushing need to possess her arose, to make her his forever. His fists balled and unballed, suppressing the unfamiliar thoughts and emotions. Claire embraced Amelia, and the two females rocked and squealed with incoherent babblings of missing each other. Toretto broke it up with his usual playful charm. Okay, enough of this suffocating my date. The girls chuckled, amused by his antics. He kissed Amelia's hand, and she blushed. Reich didn't like watching another male stroking reactions from her. Toretto, Reich growled more forcefully than intended. The light-hearted laughter was sucked out of the room, and the scent of fear from everyone hit Reich. Amelia stiffened, her eyes fixed on Reich. Claire and Toretto bowed in submission, But she remained upright, holding his gaze. She really had been raised among humans, and it was evident in her lack of pack etiquette. Rock softened his tone and cleared his throat. Please allow Claire to give her guests a tour of the estate. We must not delay. Dinner will be served soon. He smiled at Amelia, the act weird and foreign as he used muscles in his face he didn't know he had. Claire and Toretto stared at Rock's attempt at a welcoming smile as if he were a three-headed dragon in a bikini. There you go, Nina. Amelia returned the smile, but it never quite reached her eyes. He sobered and stopped smiling, rubbing the back of his neck. She was leery of Rock. Convincing her wouldn't be as easy as he thought. She didn't have the same hunger for power as Claire. Rock didn't even understand how they were friends. The two females were complete opposites. Rock assumed they would be interchangeable like chess pieces on a board, but he was so wrong. Amelia couldn't be wooed with the promise of power. He might have to actually get her to like him as a person. Keep your monster in check, Rock, or she runs. Chapter 5, Amelia. Amelia could barely focus on Claire's retelling of how the two of them met. Rock's intense gaze of her made chills shiver down her spine and heat rise to her cheeks. She pretended like she was busy with her meal, ignoring Toretto as well. But ever so often she stole a glance and found Rock's eyes were locked on her with a devilishly charming smirk. Amelia couldn't suppress her smile and blushed. He knew she was affected by him and kept up his playful, silent eye flirting. Amelia even peeked over at Toretto to see if he was aware or irritated with the exchange, since he was technically her dinner date. But Toretto was engrossed in Claire's story. He asked questions and laughed when she laughed. If Amelia didn't know any better, it almost seemed like Toretto kept Claire focused on him, so she didn't notice Rock's bold behavior. It was wrong on so many levels. The male was out of this world gorgeous. He scared her and excited her at the same time. Amelia wasn't sure if she wanted to kill him or fuck him. Neither. Yes, Amelia was amused, but also nervous about his intentions. Why was this beautiful Lycan male fixed on her? She felt like prey caught in the trap of a tall, gorgeous, and insanely dangerous predator. But also like a bitch in heat, ready to serve herself up on the table for him to feast on. That would be Nina. What was even more disturbing was this male belonged to Claire, Amelia's only best friend. Okay, not a best friend, as they were not close, but they were friends. Amelia, stop wanting him. Think about something gross to keep your arousal from hitting the air. Cat butt hair on fart cupcakes. That's funny. Claire was the first Lycan Amelia ever met while attending an art school in Paris. On the outside, Claire and Amelia looked like an odd couple in human standards. Claire came from big money, and everything she did screamed, "I'm a spoiled princess with a platinum spoon in my mouth, so bow down to me, peasants." Amelia, on the other hand, had a humbler background. She didn't need to worry about money. However, her mother taught her the best cover in human society was appearing like just another working class individual trying to earn a living. It makes us look less threatening to both species, she said. This came easy to Amelia because she was no outdoorsy wild child, not afraid to get dirty. This came easy to Amelia because she was an outdoorsy wild child, not afraid to get dirty. The only thing they had in common, and the reason they became friends, was they were both Lycans in a world of humans. Claire provided Amelia a safe place to be herself, and here she was making eyes at Rock. Maybe I need to put my glasses on, y'all. Oh, I know one. I got some new glasses you guys need to see. Let's try these little boogers on. I just can't keep them on my nose. That way you can see my face. So we'll try these. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. Wrong angle. Okay. A chuckling Claire turned to Amelia. Right, Amelia. Do you remember that? Amelia, unaware of the conversation but too embarrassed to admit it, smiled and nodded. It was too late. Claire had picked up on the shared interest between Rock and Amelia. Amelia tried to hide her guilt, but Rock only openly admired Amelia without concern for Claire's feelings. Claire's eyes changed to wolf and growled at Rock. Are you seriously ogling my good friend in front of my face? Rock's eyes cut to Claire with a menacing look that put her in everyone's heart and that put fear in everyone's heart, and he let out a roar of dominance. Y'all, I can't even read straight tonight. I apologize. Mind your fucking tongue when you address me. Amelia braced for a fight between the two alphas. Claire never took anyone's shit, and Amelia couldn't imagine that she would now. Instead, Claire got out of her seat, bowed low, and said, Forgive me, my lord. Amelia's jaw dropped. She just fucking bowed to him. What the fuck is happening here? Seemingly satisfied with her backing all the way down, Rock chuffed. His eyes still wolf, he rose from the table. In a calm voice that didn't match the storm of fury on his face, he said, Excuse me while I take a moment to get the dessert wine. Cammy, a submissive wolf tasked with serving the alpha pair, stepped forward and bowed. Allow me, my lord. No. Tend to my guests' needs, he ordered before exiting the dining room and giving Amelia a glance at his tight ass and broad shoulders. Claire returned to her seat beside Amelia. She jumped when Amelia placed a hand on her shoulder. Why would Claire marry an asshole? Yes, he was gorgeous beyond compare, but he clearly didn't love his wife. Worse, though Claire was queen and married to an alpha, she was not the alpha female. The exchange between them made it painfully clear she was just another submissive wolf. Amelia was used to her friend being bold and courageous, but now she wasn't herself. Amelia didn't recognize this side of Claire. Amelia hadn't lived in a pack before, but her inner wolf told her this was wrong. A submissive could never serve the pack as an alpha. Claire thought marrying Rock was fate. He needed a bride, and she wanted power and more wealth. Despite being mutually beneficial, their union was troubled. And with the way Rock acted, maybe it was best for Amelia to remove herself. I'm sorry to cause a disturbance, Claire. I will let myself out. Claire grabbed her wrist and held it tight. Her eyes met Amelia's with a fake smile. Please, Amy, won't you stay a little longer? Are you insane? You married a tall, sexy madman. Yes, please stay for dessert. It's very expensive wine Lord Reich only brings out for extra special guests, Toretto said, cupping her forearm briefly. Amelia placed her hand over Claire's grip to reassure her. I do enjoy a good dessert wine. Although something troubled Claire, Amelia didn't want to push. The look in Claire's eyes told her that just being there was a blessing from the gods. Chapter 6, Toast to a Rare Beauty. Reich entered the dining room with the open bottle of wine spiked with a potion and 4 wine glasses. The room was thick with tension as everyone watched in silence as he took his time filling each glass. Then his eyes locked on Amelia and she stiffened beneath his gaze. He handed the first glass to her with a seductive smile. For our guest of honor. Amelia returned a polite smile, taking the glass before she bowed in submission, no doubt mimicking the other wolves, and still Reich hadn't expected the behavior from such a benighted wolf. The gesture left a sour taste in his mouth. He loved when others bowed to him since they were beneath him. But Amelia wasn't beneath him. His wolf recognized her as his equal. Amelia, you bow to no one, he said, lifting her chin with a curl of his finger. Not even to me, beautiful. Amelia's eyes cut to Claire, who sat with her arms folded, shaking her head. Wright peeked at Toretto, who grinned with a thumbs up unbeknownst to the ladies. Wright rolled his eyes, suppressing a smirk. I love that little shit. Oh, I say that about Nina all the time. I love that little shit. After disturbing the remaining glasses, after distributing the remaining glasses, Rock raised a toast to Amelia. Everyone echoed his toast with a cheer. He couldn't take his eyes off her as she drank the wine, not even to enjoy his own glass. Wright didn't want to miss the spark or glow or whatever. Sure as the white lighter promised, Amelia glowed. It started from her stomach and grew outward until her entire body illuminated bright like an angel. Toretto and Claire glowed as well, but theirs were dim. Wright drank his glass and watched himself illuminate like Amelia. Wright's desire for Amelia amplified tenfold. A possessive need to claim her as his mate here and now ignited. He wanted to pound his chest and challenge any male to dare take her from him. The urge to hunt down all of her enemies and lay their mangled heads at her feet as wedding presents pounded at him. But he must tread lightly, or else his beast would scare beauty. Being married to her friend was their first obstacle, but not for long. He would have his divorce tonight in the only way possible for an immortal to divorce. Chapter 7. Take a moment. Amelia reached her limit. Picturing a cat's ass on some cupcakes became Rock on the cupcakes. Then she was eating him like a cupcake. Enough fucking cupcakes. She rose from the dinner table, almost knocking it over. The washroom? She smoothed her hands over her clothes as all eyes fell on her. She repeated in a more calm voice, I need to visit your washroom, please. A moment to think without his eyes on me. After a nod from Wright, Toretto extended his hand. It would be my pleasure, Amelia. As Toretto and Amelia wandered through the house, she was unable to help herself from admiring the Gothic beauty of the mansion. She absent-mindedly caressed paintings and carvings, marveling at their craftsmanship. Toretto cleared his throat, pointing to a door and breaking her out of her art trance. The bathroom, my lady. Amelia smiled and thanked him for before retreating into the bathroom, locking the door behind her. She exhaled deeply, leaning on the sink, finally able to breathe without his eyes fixed on her. She flushed with desire for Reich. His gaze promised so much exquisite pleasure. Let's face it, he was already eye-fucking her. Every second his eyes were fixed on her was another thrust deep between her legs. Amelia's body ached for him, and her lips longed to taste his. He wore a suit minus the jacket, but she could tell he had a body built by the fucking gods. A body she wanted to spend hours exploring with her tongue. The lethal weapon he had obviously spent time honing to the point that those guns at his side were nothing but the cherry on top of the killing blow. She would caress every muscle until he became putty in her hands as she rode him deep in her core, coating him in her scent. So every female knew he was hers and only hers. Stop it, stop it. That is Claire's husband. Stop being a trollop, Amelia, and have some self-respect. Amelia said to herself in the mirror, Get it together, girl. He is not that cute. Lies. He is hot as sin, but it's a great day to lie to myself. Done with her reprieve, Amelia checked herself over one more time before opening the bathroom door. She peeked out in the hallway only to discover herself alone. Toretto has just lost major cool points for abandoning me. Amelia started down the hallway to rejoin the others, only to run smack dab into Reich. Ooh, baby. Can I read chapter 8? Because it's called Sweet Delectable Honey. Reich detected Amelia's fear within seconds of her crashing into him. Damn, he hated being the reason for her unease. I would never hurt you, my love. Wait, did he just call her his love? Whoa, Reich West does not love. The most delicious scent hit him, sending pulse waves straight to his cock. Amelia's arousal. Reich leaned in, their faces just inches apart, barely leashed control. He said, "Do not fear me." Breathless, she opened her mouth to respond, but he claimed it with a crushing kiss. Fuck, she tasted amazing. He deepened the embrace and lifted her off the ground, wrapping her legs around his waist. She forced his gun holster to dig into his sides, but Reich didn't give a shit. All he cared about was enjoying her lips. She moaned into his mouth, and her body melted for him. Amelia fisted his perfectly coiffed hair, becoming wilder, holding nothing back. Their passion sent him into a frenzy just to have her as they crashed against the wall. He tweaked a nipple through her shirt, forcing a moan from her. Ah, my little wolf is so responsive. The master bedroom, too far. He needed her here and now. Reich fumbled around for the doorknob for a nearby guest room that wasn't being used. He carried her inside and then collapsed on the bed with Reich between her thighs. He rocked his hips, pressing his hard cock against her core throughout their clothing. By the gods, he was going to unload everything he had inside her. He slid down her body and hiked her skirt up. She whispered, "Reich, we can't." He kept her wet sex through her panties, using his palm to work her swollen clit. Her head fell back, lost in the pleasure. Reich hooked a finger in her panties to pull them to the side and engulfed her core with his mouth. She tastes like honey. Sweet, delectable honey. Her hand flew to his head, ruffling his hair again as he began devouring her. Amelia moaned and groaned as her sweet little body jerked and gyrated with every stroke of his tongue. She was a drug, and he was hooked. Mercilessly, with his assault on her core, he licked, sucked, and petted the taut bundle of nerves until she screamed with her release. Once satisfied with lapping up every drop of her nectar, Reich removed his twin gun holsters along with his shirt. Yeah, that's right. He licked her pussy while fully armed and prepared to shoot anyone who interrupted them. Now he needed to be skin to skin to feel her body beneath him as he made love to her. Females before her, he'd just fucked. But Amelia was different. He wanted to make love and fuck her at the same time. Amelia's heavy-lidded, glowing eyes fell on his chest. She bit her lower lip, her gaze lingering on him. Her eyes, the color is a deeper shade of purple, like a dark breed. She set up to trace her hand along the ridges of his abdomen. Reich opened his mouth to ask her about her breed type, but when her warm, soft lips pressed against his chest, he lost his train of thought. Her lips feathered across his nipple before being flicked with the tip of her tongue. Rock pulled her in for another deep, passionate kiss, needing to savor her sweet lips again before removing her shirt. Great gods, have mercy on me. His eyes locked on her full breast, playing peekaboo behind her ebony waves. To view them unimpeded, he brushed her locks over her shoulders. Her voice, his voice deep and gritty. Lay back, Amelia. I want to savor your exquisite beauty. She did as he commanded, offering herself up to him. He removed his pants, freeing his rigid manhood. Her gaze dipped, and Rock loved her open admiration of his member. He fell on top of her and positioned himself between her legs, reclaiming her mouth again. Their need for each other maddened, and their kiss became hungry. Rock's swollen head rubbed between her folds, teasing her engorged numb, forcing more moans from her. Moans Rock swallowed. He would claim Amelia as his mate, if not by marriage this same day, then by his bite, a gesture that signaled to others this wolf was taken. Claire may have been his wife, but she was never truly his mate. Wright never felt the possessive need to mark her, not even once, despite the many times he took her. Claire was just a means to an heir, to power. Amelia was his. Deep down in his gut, everything within him screamed that she was his true mate. He wouldn't be able to confirm this gut feeling until their wedding day. When a Lycan married, sometimes it triggered a bond to form, a bond so rare that most started believing it was a myth. So they adopted other mentions of staking claims on their mates, like bites, tattoos, or firebrands. A niggling of doubt crept in. What if we marry and still no bond forms between us? No, no, no. Bond or no bond, she would bear his children. She would be his mate, his queen, his equal, his love, his everything. Rock's claws and canines started lengthening to mark Amelia. Her juices coated his shaft as he worked his length over her clit. He was possessed by the need for her to come just by dry humping. Then he would take her to the hilt. The thought made him throb so fucking good. He wasn't sure he would last. He needed to give her one more release before he embarrassed himself with a record time climax. Her moans increased. Close to her second orgasm, Rock scooped his hand under her head to cradle Amelia harder against him. Her canines and claws lengthened as pleasure ripped through her body. She writhed beneath him, and her head thrashed from side to side. Amelia's wolf surfaced, and she was beautiful. Wright knew Amelia's shifting was to mark him. Relief and joy bloomed in him, and he joined her in the shift to his beast. He would mark her right back. He would mark her so deep the entire lore would feel it. He would proudly mark Amelia, his true mate, flaunt in front of his wife, too, right before he took her head. He never had sex in his beast form because it prevented kissing, but doing it with Amelia added another layer of excitement. Rock lined his cock up with her opening, but before he could take her like this, he wanted to hear her say she wanted this. You're beautiful, Amelia. I want to wake up next to you every day. Be my queen. Allow me to spill inside you, he said with a beastly whisper in her ear. Amelia pulled back. What? She questioned in a more feminine but still beastly voice. Wright caressed her cheek. Have my air. And that's all I'm going to read. So, does she do it? Does she let him? Where does it stop? Of course she loved this book. LaSasha wrote it. She's all about the sexy. Sasha, baby. time you came out with a new one like this. I've been waiting on this one for a while though, because you mentioned last year, I think it was, that you were writing a werewolf book. And yes, Spency, I am a tease, and you know I love every bit of it. So go get the book and just read it. Bunch of tight asses. It's so good. So good. And that was only 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was 5 chapters, y'all. And this is book 1. There's going to be more to come. But that ain't the only book she's got out there. She's got plenty of other books. So if y'all don't want to read this one, go find another one because she's got plenty of them. Yep. It's a good one. Oh, honey bunches, you're more than welcome. Like I said, I've been waiting on this one to come out. Waiting. That's why you have toys, Audrey. Honey child, I'll read your books anytime. You know my PAs, just tell them you want on the schedule and they'll write you in there. Alrighty, so tomorrow night is Viper by Candy Fox, The Prophecy. And then Thursday is Master of Sin by Sienna Snow. And then I got one Sunday by Scarlet Finn. So y'all need to just keep on coming back. Oh, honey. Sasha's alphas do more than spank, honey. I know, right, LaSasha? I saw that Master of Sin and I thought, and then Sienna Snow, I don't know who Scarlet Finn is, though. That's a new to me author. Scarlet Finn. Nainer. Are am I reading Go All In, or are I reading Only Yours by Scarlet Finn? Because you have all only on the schedule, so I need to know so I can get the book. But I can get the book either way, so you don't have to ask her for a book. I just need to know which book to get. All righty. The rest of them I have. All right. So I will see you folks here tomorrow night for Miss Candy Fox's Viper. It's the second book in her Odin Wolf Motorcycle Club. I think is what it is. It's a motorcycle book. That's all that matters. Oh, and there's going to be a male on male scene tomorrow night. Eek! So we got male porn going on tomorrow night, y'all. So come on back and listen on. Jackie, I expect you to be in the house tomorrow night, sister. And thank you, Miss LaSasha, for letting me read your book. Thank you for writing it. Yay. Lord, I've been reading. I've been reading and listening to wolf books for over a week now. I'm all about the wolf books right now. Oh, yeah, you better bring your toys tomorrow night. All righty, ladies and gents. Y'all have a good evening, and I'm going to go crash. Happy reading.